He's only just returned from injury, but Dominic CalvertLewin is making some of the headlines this morning, and it's being reported that West Ham could be in for a surprise move for the Everton striker. According to both the Sun and the Mail, the Hammers are interested in him, but it will cost them around £60 million to prize him away from Goodison Park. He's made 56 goals in 179 appearances for Everton. Does that surprise you when you're hearing West Ham might well be in for him?
No, not at all. David Moyes will know his qualities, obviously. He'd have watched him mature as a player. He loves to play with a centre-forward. We talked earlier about, the depth of the number 9. He's probably the best header of a ball out of all the big centre-forwards that are around, because I think he's terrific in the air. He was fit at the start of the season. He started the season really good. He had certainly the campaign before. He got a lot of goals. He's about the best around, and he's still at a very tender age. So, no, it doesn't. I mean, look, judging him yesterday is impossible, Nat, because it's unfair in 90 minutes of playing a game. And he's clearly just come back from a long time. I think August was the last time he played.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
He's missed loads of it. So he clearly wasn't up to speed. But I think that is a massive statement if West Ham was to get something like that over the line of where the club's direction is, because I think him and Antonio, in a way, could also play together because they're both prepared to run in channels and they're both prepared to get on the end of each other's balls. So, yeah, absolutely. I see that as a great move. Evertonians wouldn't like it because he's a terrific player.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Speaking to the Everton fan earlier on in this hour, talking about a reset needed and some players maybe needing to move on. I imagine CalvertLewin isn't one of those that he was talking about, because he seems to be a player that's always very committed when he's out on the pitch for the club. So it would be a massive blow for them to lose someone of his quality and what he brings to the team. And £60 million, obviously, it's an interesting figure. And you talk about £500 million that Everton have spent. Yeah. Maybe it's a time for them to start recouping their losses.
If they did, that tells you where the club is.
Yes.
If they prepared to sell a young lad and they've invested all that money and wasted so much, they've got themselves in a predicament they need to sell. That's not good. That's not good for Everton at all. And look, he's a leader of a line. He's an honest lad. He's technically not bad. He was very close to, being the one that replaces Harry Kane, or if something happened to him, that Gareth would turn to CalvertLewin. That's not too far away, for CalvertLewin if he gets back into the team and gets goals again. I've always liked him. I've always thought he's got a great heart. He has in desire and attitude, commitment. Needs to get a little bit better technically. I think the versatility of a big centre forward's a bit of an issue, but I think as most big centre forwards, most of them improve. So. I think that would read really bad coming if he left Everton. That would read terribly for Evertonians.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. And just lastly with West Ham, how much is it needed that they have to strengthen? Bear in mind they're in the Europa League. They've got a top 4 push that they're trying to cement as well. Do they need to bring in players in this window?
Yeah, they do now. And just going back, when they paid $40 million for Sebastian Haller, what I didn't get is he was never really used the way that Sebastian Haller functioned with Jovic in Germany, and who obviously went to Real Madrid. He played in a partnership, and he tended to play one down the middle. So I was a bit surprised by that, how that didn't work. I mean, look, he's gone back to Ajax and
scoring goals for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's an interesting one, really is.
Okay, how about this man who could well be set for a return to the Premier League? Yes, now this has been reported in the Sunday Mirror today that Christian Eriksen could be returning to the Premier League, and it will be with Brentford, so they say. Reports are saying that this signing could be completed in as little as 72 hours. Now, I have my little moles. Who I was chatting away to yesterday, and I was told, terms have been agreed on this one. It's just the sort of the medical side and maybe some legal side that they need to obviously iron out in this situation. But we know that the last time he was playing was out in Serie A with Inter Milan, but due to what happened to him at the Euros, there's obviously legal issues in Italy in football where if you have any heart problems, you're not allowed to play. So he's now looking for a new club. And he's been lined up with Brentford, so it seems. Lining up with a man of Thomas Frank, who he may well have worked with. I think, in fact, Thomas Frank has said he has worked with him when he was part of the Danish setup. Also, there are 2 Danish internationals at Brentford that he plays with in the Danish team. So it sort of makes sense in that respect. There have been some people saying, a bit risky, this one, a bit cautious with signing someone like Christian Eriksen. Would you be going down that route as well?
No, not at all. I'd be very matter of fact. Well, I love the story. I think fantastic. I mean, I know a number of ex-players. Some of them have had their careers ended, and it was the love of their life, football. And obviously with knee injuries or Achilles. And it is slightly different with a heart. Yeah. It's a muscle. Years ago, you would have an ACL, or you could not. That was the end of your career in the 80s. I played with a number of players who have done their knee ligaments and never kicked a ball. But they managed to get surgery to recover and make a full recovery. So I don't see it any different with the heart. If you can have a full recovery, and that's what they're saying that Eriksen's had, and he can play and he's in a condition to play. I just love the story. I think look, he will be absolutely beaming if he's given an opportunity to play again. And obviously he's going to have to pass all the safety measures that are going to be put in place and prove that he can play football and he's in no danger at all. That's all, that's all in place, I'm sure. But it would be what a fantastic for someone who's had heart issues. I mean, look, I've got friends who's had to triple heart bypass, and there's many people who run marathons who have had to do these incredible operations and get back to sport because they love sport. Taking that away from someone, I think it's a great story because he will have to pass all the tests that are going to be put in front of him.
Yeah. He has had a form of a pacemaker, hasn't he, fitted? And there are players we know, Daley Blind, for example, who is playing with something similar as well. So, as you pointed out, decades ago, you would have had players having to retire because of certain injuries or certain problems. But it does seem as though, obviously, with medical science evolving, that maybe Christian Eriksen can go on to still have a career. And with the World Cup coming up, he'll want to play his part in the Denmark squad as well. So, yeah.
It's a fantastic story.
It is a good story. It's a good story if he can come back playing, certainly.
We all sat there watching that tragic night and we're all got our head in our hands, thinking of, is he going to be okay? Yeah. And then, next we hear he's gone back and he's recovered, he's talking in the hospital bed. And if it got to the stage that he could kick a ball again and go and play professionally, I just think that would be an amazing story. Because there's loads of people who've done a lot of things after having, heart issues. Yeah. And made a total recovery, full recovery.
Tell you what, Brentford fans are very excited about.
Well, he's a great technical player, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
At his best when he was at Tottenham, and he was an incredibly technically gifted lad that could see a pass, get goals, take free kicks.
Well, do you know what? That's what it is. That's what Brentford fans are excited about. The possibility of Ivan Toney actually being the traditional number 9, staying where he is, staying up top, not having to drop deep and sometimes be the creator that he has had to be a little bit more this season. Hopefully, if it does all work out in Brentford's favour, it would benefit Toney as well, and we will see what happens.
Well, it wasn't him and Coutinho. When Liverpool lost Coutinho, they lost something in it and had a different way of playing, but were successful. But he was that player, like Eriksen was at Spurs. And you need someone who can get on the ball and look up, because you've got a lot of pace in your team, haven't you?
A little bit of pace. Yeah.
You need someone to find the passes.
Exactly. Yeah. What about this player? Another one, very quickly, who could be on the move in the next few days. It's been reported in The Guardian that Adama Traore could be close to joining Tottenham from Wolves for a fee of around £20 million. You were talking about super subs, Marcus Rashford maybe getting that. It feels as though that's the way of Traore right now at Wolves. He's being brought on a lot as a sub to make an impact. Is that the type of player that Spurs need?
Well, when he's at his explosive best, he's unbelievable. And if you're watching him and you're looking at him, you're thinking, oh my God, this guy is so quick. This guy just is devastating. Yeah. His numbers are terrible, which is always concerning because you sort of feel he's got one this season and you think, how's he only got one goal so far? I know he had one chalked off yesterday, 3 the season before in all competitions and 6 the season before that. So he's actually gone backwards in the last few years. If Antonio Conte can see something that will get his numbers to be far better, will he play him as a wing-back? I'm not so sure. He might go, I might have a wing-back type. We've all got this luxury of... Because once he gets on one-on-ones, I see him at West Ham one day at the London Stadium, and he was up against Creswell, and Creswell just couldn't handle him. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing against Aaron Creswell. There's many who can't handle him. And he created and he changed the game in a moment, by his pace and ability to cross the ball. So I think he's a game changer type of player, which seems to be, quite common now in the game, where St Maximin in Newcastle can be a bit like that. The numbers ain't great, but can change a game as well. But they're devastating pace.